Better? You hear that one? Come on. Ah, thank you, thank you. All right, so we're gonna scratch the snatch on that. Of course, I didn't have chalk with me. That's all right. So instead, we'll just do 2 presses. We're gonna go through 10 rounds. That was round number 1. Then, as I was trying to say earlier, when I clearly had no audio, we are going to be talking about some of the exercises that Joe would give as we like to say Joe would give his boxers, right? So people love to talk about Pilates and Joe being a weightlifter, bodybuilder, a boxer, all true, right? But if I go to one of your classes and we do this for 10 minutes straight, I'm not really sure how that translates. I'm not saying it doesn't, I'm just saying I don't know how it works. So I'm going to be talking about some of the things that I see, that I've been told that would be used for boxers, and as far as ways to strengthen the neck so that they can take a hit, strengthen the core so they can take a hit. Set number 2. And you'll also notice my shorts don't want to stay tied. So, just going to be showing you some of that. One of my favorite exercises to do on the high row over here is called belly beats. And those were so you can take a punch to the gut. And then, as I said earlier, a lot of the other ones are going to be about neck strengthening so you can take a hit. So you tuned in the past few weeks, you saw me use the neck stretcher. One of the big things that we love to use to stretch the neck and strengthen the neck is number 3. Hopefully I don't forget what number I'm on because I'm not marking anything down. Sometimes technical difficulties set you back a little bit, but here we go. Josh, how you doing, man? What's going on in the Great North? It's been a while. That was 3, right? Yeah. Tea. I need tea. Really, I just leave my stuff all over the room so I have a chance to walk away for a second. Not because I absolutely just need to catch my breath because I'm dying. Oh man. Alright. Let's do number 4. Go through 10 of these. Haven't heard from Daphne in a while. So Daphne, I hope you're out there checking in on us still. We miss you. Good Friday night. Wow. Ooh. Thanks. Appreciate that. Alright, let's do number 4. Let's go on here. And yes, the high barrel does look like a snail. I get that. It's like the Pilates pet. Man. Well, it's not raining here, I can tell you that. We have, it's pretty nice out actually. Like 70s, you know. Just hanging out, having a good time. It's beautiful warm weather here. Has it, no, it hasn't snowed yet, has it? Do you guys have snow in your future up there anytime soon? Soon I'll be 5. It's that kind of breathing that's gotten some of my videos banned from TikTok. So if you're watching me live on TikTok, it's just breathing, I swear, I promise you. It's nothing crazy. Josh, have you been playing any video games lately, or are you too busy tuning cars right now? Yeah, 60s all week, 40s at night. It's good. It's comfortable. So if you're a car person and you need someone to flash your car, I believe, and tune it, Dang Tunes right there. Check him out. One of the best in the business as far as helping you get your car as fast as you want it to go. Alright, number 6. Whew, flying through this, it's pretty good. Start with the left on this next set of 5. Maybe that was a mistake. So the funny thing about any music you hear right now, it's coming from this alley back here. There's literally nothing going on. It's probably just people just bumping music for the sake of bumping music. Working more work, good. That's what we want. Dang tunes, getting busy. Four more. And then I'll start beating myself up. I mean, not really, but. And I should also say that when I start talking about this stuff, like, I'm not in any way, shape, or form trashing any type of contemporary Pilates or people that only do reformer certifications or only do mat certifications. There is an argument to be made for doing a comprehensive certification program. And as much of an obvious statement as it sounds, a big part of that is education and the history of Pilates. Now, I do not know as much as there is to know, right? I would say I'm lucky, I know 50%, right? Some of it is hearsay, some of it is stuff that people said. This is what Joe said. Joe never said that. So a great example of that is the famous quote that everyone loves to say, was Joe supposedly said, in 10 sessions, you'll feel a difference. 20 sessions, you'll see a difference. And in 30 sessions, you'll have a brand new body. Now, as much as that might be true, as far as him saying that, not so much. So, all right, I'm into number 7 before I ramble off into something else here. Now, the actual quote, and I have this hanging up on my wall in the studio, was an advertisement that he put in the paper in the early 30s, maybe early 40s. And I believe it was, in 12 sessions will make you a real man, or you don't pay me 1 cent. So it might have been 10 sessions, I think it was 12, could be wrong, but yeah, that 10, 20, 30 thing was actually not from Joe. So, but my point is, we all, myself included at one point, share that as gospel, right? This is what Joe said. So there's a lot of misconception out there. There's a lot of misinformation out there. And I might be spreading some of it tonight. Who knows? Like, we can have fun with that. We'll find out. But we'll see. Maybe I'm just telling you all lies so that you buy my new vitamins. All right, here we go. All right, 2 more to go. Then we'll start playing around with everything. Hey, don't worry about my playlist. It's fine. It's a good playlist. Well, I did not think I was going to get through 8 this quickly, so I'm pretty happy. But that's what my stomach's going to be doing in a second. It's going up. Bam. Now, it's not necessarily the most fun thing in the world to do, but it is. It does, you know. Listen, if you don't have siblings, I recommend learning how to take a hit on this. If you're the youngest, you probably already know how to take a hit. You may not need to do it. Number 9. And the problem with that is then the youngest, like in my case, gets bigger than you, and it's just not as fun anymore. So here we go. Number 9. Ooh, that is slick. All right, 1 more to go. I think I might need a heavier belt here soon. Well, I'm at home. I'll use 32 at home. It's nice to know. Yeah, I'm getting stronger. It's a good feeling. can't stop from getting older. It's gonna keep getting stronger, you know? So, and for the record, my legs are gonna be out here, so it's gonna look like I'm gonna kick that reformer. I'm not, don't worry. It's off to an angle. Might even drag that up so it's a little bit closer anyway, so. All right. Okay, here we go. Number 10. I just need to get a jar of chalk to leave here at the studio. That would be the logical thing to do, but all right, let's finish it up here. All right. That was nice. That was good. Okay. So, back to the fun stuff. As I said at the very beginning of this, we love to butch up this work. And I think the reason being, and again, probably don't need to keep saying this, but anything I say is not meant to be insulting or saying someone ruined something. It's just kind of a pattern the way things work sometimes. So we know that Joe was creating this method before he was in internment camp in World War I. He continued to work on it in the internment camp in World War II. I cannot remember the name of the gym that his dad was a member of back in the 1800s, but there are pictures, and it's really cool. I highly recommend going and getting Kat Baker-Strack's book, Get to Know Joe. She's done extensive research, and she found an amazing picture of Joe's dad outside the gym. And like, it's really cool because they have those like big old school like barbells and dumbbells, big balls on each end. So he grew up in a gym and saw people weightlifting his whole life. So you know some of this work had to come from the idea of, on a lumbar chair we do something I'll show you in a second, one arm pressing the pedal down. Could that have been from the idea of a windmill? Could that have been from the idea of a bent press? We don't know, right? And I'm not trying to argue that it is or isn't either way. But the other thing we like to talk about is that Joe was a boxer, he trained boxers. So when we look at some of this work, it's really easy to sit there and say, okay, the side kick series, yes, the power of a punch comes from the hip, right? You're not just punching people here, you actually have to get into it. Now, I'm not a boxer, so I'm not the best example to give you there, but I do have very powerful hips, so watch out. So I think the very first example that we can talk about when it comes to the exercises that Joe would give people to strengthen their neck, and if you go and buy the book Return to Life by Joe Pilates, one of the original mat exercises is called crab. You're probably not going to do that exercise in a group mat class. Personally, as someone who has taught group mat classes, I would not teach that in a group mat class. There are a lot of things that can go wrong with it. People can hurt their ankles. So, I moved this a little prematurely here. I'm going to show you what that exercise looks like. Now, do I do these exercises perfectly? No. No, I don't. That's not the point. So, just going to do the best I can. Now there's another rolling exercise. And the setup for this exercise, I start with my legs crossed here. So when I roll back, I'm going to cross the legs, working the adductors. Again, important muscle for being able to pivot. But the strengthening part comes at the end. So I start here, legs crossed, sitting tall. I roll back, I recross the legs, and then I come and I actually roll over my legs, and I press my head into the mat. Right? I'm not here, close to my nose. I'm not overstretching, but I'm literally pressing, scooping up, putting more pressure there. Then I roll back, cross, and we do the other side. Here. Right? So we do that. I think it says like 3 times in the book. We do that. Now, would I teach that in the mat class? No. And part of it is, if you don't know how to do it, you can really hurt your ankles. Maybe someone in your class already has bad ankles. You don't want to risk that. Maybe someone in the class has osteopenia or osteoporosis. They shouldn't be doing a rolling exercise anyway, and certainly shouldn't be putting neck on the pressure on the cervical spine. So, all the more reason why you should occasionally do a one-on-one session with a private instructor, not just go to group classes. All right, so you can see how that happens there, right? The core is working to pull you back, the neck is getting strengthened by pressing the ground, and I'm going to assume that you all know why strengthening your neck is so important when it comes to boxers and people who fight, especially in MMA. But in boxing, your chin's the off button, right? So a lot of knockouts happen, boom, done. So the more you can strengthen your neck and prevent your head from jerking in either direction. Now, obviously, you have a really strong opponent, it may not matter. But anyway, so belly beats. You see people use this. This is the barrel. People who do Pilates much more pretty than I will do stretches on the barrel, and they'll come in through here. And sometimes we'll get the arms involved and come in through here. All fine, great. This is not going to be that pretty. That's the only reason why I bring that up. So here, you're literally grabbing the bottom, and this barrel is adjustable, so if I need to, I can go back a little further and come up here a little bit higher. So we first start off with this, and squeeze the heels, and kind of lift up, right? Get some posterior work in the glutes, back of the legs, and then and you can let the legs drop a little if you want. Come down. I like to try to keep the legs straight the whole time. You're going to see them drop a little bit. Alright. That's enough of that. But that is meant to get used to taking a hit. You should be able to take your own body weight, right? Fortunately, this is kind of padded, right? Not that, the padding on glove gives a whole lot of protection, but that's the nice thing about getting older. Get a little bit more padding here too. So sometimes a little extra belly fat can do you some good in the long run. Alright, so that's belly beats. That's really the big one for, I'd say, boxers. Now, I don't think it just only has to be with boxers, right? Anyone that wants to strengthen their core, wants to be able to take a hit, right? Now, the next two, again, when we talk about neck strengthening, one I know has been a little controversial, which means I'm going to do that one first, of course. There have been people that have said, this instructor said we no longer teach this anymore because people were getting hurt. That could be true. It could be Joe came out and said that exercise was a mistake. That could be true. That doesn't mean that I didn't learn it, so I'm still going to do it, right? For this, on both of these exercises, I'm going to have my spring setting on one low. Now, if you've tuned in before and have seen me on the winded chair, there's an exercise that we do behind the chair, in front of the chair, and kneeling on top of the chair, which is, I'll just show you from the front, pressing the pedal down in front of the chair. Very original name. There was a lot of workshop involved with that. So we round down without scooting the hips back. We inhale, press the pedal down. Exhale, pump 3 times. Everyone has a different variation for this. And then we roll back up without letting the hips scoot back. So we do that in front of the chair, we do that behind the chair, and we do that on top of the chair. Now, on top of the chair is a lot easier to do when you have a spot. So you're probably going to see my hips scoot back just a little bit. But I'm going to start here. I'm going to inhale, and I'll round over the chair. I'm going to bring my hands down to the pedal. Here. And then from here, I'm going to bring my hands down to the ground and put my head on the pedal. I'm using my hands to slowly help me come down and up. And 2. And you can hear my voice is not changing. I'm not putting that much pressure on my neck. My chin is not glued to my chest. And a little work on my lats. 3. I'm sorry, that's 4. And 5. Now from here, press this pedal down. And roll up. Whew. So, fairly safe if done properly with the right supervision. Not too bad as far as pressure on the neck. Your hands are there the whole time. At no point do I see a time in my future where I would do that without hands. Not here, right? So that's one. Obviously, you can add springs to make it a little bit more intense. And this next one, it's called head press down, I believe. Oh, I made a note. Let's go to the notes. Let's see. Not there. Hold on. Yeah, head press down. And as I said, it is more subtle because you don't see nearly as much movement. But I'm going to put this towel on here to kind of help grip my head. And the goal is to not let the pedal come up. I mean, I'm not trying to get the pedal all the way down. But my hands are going to go behind my back. Well, first I'm going to put my hands here on the pedal. Now, I don't know if you can tell from this angle, I'm going to be scooping the shit out of my abdominals. And I'm not crunched here, but I'm lengthening and rounding over. So you can hear my voice here, right? We want to keep the voice there. We don't want the voice there, right? It's too hard. I'm going to put my head here, pulling my abs in and up. I'm going to inhale, hinge back, and return. Now, this is working the front of my neck more than anything else. Number 3. And number 4, you have a little variation coming back, a little lower. 4, and I'll do one more, number 5. Here. Hands there. Make sure that pedal doesn't come up and smack me in the face. And let me get this little pop-up window out of the way. Thanks for jumping in the way there, window. All right. So those are just 2 that we do on the chair, right? Again, you're not going to do that in a group class. If you're in a group class and an instructor tells you to do that, fucking leave, right? That is not something you do without instruction. I had to go through the certification and do that for 6 fucking weeks before I could even get that certificate. So there's a lot of this stuff that go, oh, hey, I just saw this online, I'm going to try that. I thought, do not try this in your group fitness class unless you've been taught how to do that. And unless you're comfortable teaching that to, say, I don't know, 10 people, which probably not. I think that's going to be a possible lawsuit So protect yourself. All right. So those are the big ones here. So we did crab on the mat. We did press downs on the barrel, on the wonder chair. Belly beats here on the barrel. Now we got just really two more on the reformer. And then I'll stop sweating all over the studio and head home. So let's see if I can't get this to, no, get out here. So we can't get this to switch easily. Hopefully it still works. We'll find out. Hello. All right. So now we're a few feet over. You've seen me do exercises on this reformer numerous times. Well, maybe that one. Point being, there are two main exercises here, three that we will do, and these are called head front, head back, and wrestler's bridge. And again, most comprehensive programs don't even teach this in their certification program. I was fortunate enough that when I went through the certification program with Frank Zito, that he added these in, because for me, learning these advanced exercises will really help me understand how important the fundamentals of the beginning exercises were. And if you're working with someone who has just gone through a reformer-only certification, they're certainly not going to be taught this, especially to teach group classes. So again, no, not knocking that in any way, shape, or form. Just something to be aware of. This is not necessarily common knowledge among newer instructors today. So let's take that out of the way. All right, so head front, head back. And generally when we first start learning head front, we put this in second gear. So for the sake of this demonstration, I'm going to do that. That just makes the distance between your head and your feet a little farther already, so you don't have quite as far to come back in, right? An exercise you will see quite often in this room is a teaser. We lay on our back, we roll up, we reach for the toes, reach for the ceiling, and then we roll back down. This is kind of a reverse teaser, if you will. So when we first start learning this, we're going to put our hands here. And also, you can see from that angle, there are two different settings on this headrest. So there's up, there's really safely, there's up, the middle setting, and down. I was told, again, different training programs have different things. This is what the middle setting is for. I've never used the middle setting for footwork, for running, for anything laying down, only for head front and head back. So for second gear, I'm going to put my forearms here, and when I first start doing this exercise, we're going to be putting 90% of the weight in the forearms. Excuse me. And again, as I keep talking about, as I'm here, I don't really want my voice to change too much. Now I'm only talking because I am putting 90% of that weight in my forearms, and I'm pulling back up to return. And as I get more confident as I do this, I might take an arm away. Come down, and up. And then if we get super confident, we might take 2 arms away. Notice I wasn't talking at that point. So I now do this in first gear. I don't gear out. Part of that is because I don't know if you can tell from the video, but I'm not as tall as you might think I am. So I don't have that far to go anyway. So that's head front. Again, a lot of work in here and work in the back. Being super careful, right? If you've never done this before, don't try it. This is for the sake of showing why we talk about Joe being a boxer and some of those exercises that he might have given his clients that he was training. So that's head front. Have some tea and we'll go to head back because I'm apparently losing my voice. There we go. All right, head back, on my back. And again, the majority of the weight is going to be in my hands to begin with. The work is really going to be in the hamstrings. Start here, and pick my head up, and put it back here. So again, you can hear my voice. I'm not crunching the neck. I'm working the shit out of my hamstrings though, and they want to cramp really badly, but I'm hoping they don't. One more. And let's head back. Whew. That was close. They wanted to really badly though. They didn't, but they wanted to. And then from there, we're going to go super crazy. We can do a wrestler's bridge. Now, before you start typing away in those crazy comments, I know my heels are not going to be on the ground. I'm working on that. But wrestler's bridge is pretty similar. When we first start getting to the point that we do this, we might use a bar, bring the bar down. But in this case, I'm going to use these handles. So we're here. I'm going to bring my feet onto the actual bed. Bring my head here. Yes, I know. And come back. And come on, heels, get down there. Close. But, so those are just some of the ways we do different neck strengthening exercises on different equipment throughout the entire studio. Not to mention, I'm not even going to carry this stuff over to the Cadillac and do all that fun stuff. But when you hear Pilates instructors say, well, yeah, guys should do Pilates too. You know, Joe's a boxer. Cool. How? Joe's a weightlifter. How? I don't mean necessarily how was he a boxer or how was he a weightlifter, but how are the exercises that they're going to show you, how are they going to relate to that statement? And I think that's one that most people tend to have a really hard time being able to answer because it's great lip service, and it is something that they should, myself included, dive into a little bit more and figure out where these exercises originated from, what they might have meant from the beginning, and how we can continue to be true to the actual work that Joe did. Now, I'm not going to sit there and tell you I view Pilates 100% of the way that Joe Pilates intended to. The guy died 10 years before I was born. I never met him. I couldn't fucking tell you if I'm doing Joe's work. I'm doing what I was taught along the lineage from Joe Thurmana to me, well, Frank, me, then Carrie, me. So 2 different certification programs. Working with a fantastic group of instructors here in Los Angeles, and a few that I've gotten the pleasure to work with out of New York. So all of that to say, when it comes to doing your own, going through your own certification program, when it comes to working with a new instructor, or if you're just thinking about trying this work, do a little bit of research. I'm not saying don't go with a contemporary Pilates instructor. They're fine. That's just not my style. It doesn't work for me, and that's okay. That might work for you. But if you want to go and find out how and where some of this actually originated from, do a little research on who you're going to be working with, and Group classes are, I think, a fantastic way to stay in shape throughout the week. But if you actually want to take a deep dive into what we're actually doing in the studio, seek out a classically trained Pilates instructor, and you will have the best time of your life. And you know, maybe we'll be able to take a hit better. So with that, I'm going to go home and eat because I'm starving. I hope you guys had fun. If you have any questions, you can reach out to me on Twitch, Instagram, TikTok, all the socials. Thanks for tuning in. I had a great time. I will see you guys next Monday. So have a great weekend. Take care of yourselves, take care of each other. I love you all.